working on the, say, not final, but another stage in the synthesizer circuit. This is the schematic, by the way. I had a question today to show the schematic. Well, here it is. It's very simple, made with a 555 field effect transistor and a standard NPN transistor. I made two units here. This is one unit, and here is another unit that's exactly the same unit, here and here. Both are made confirmed to this schematic. Pen over somewhat. 555. Don't forget to solder the wire in here in between. It's a good schematic, but I found today quite a few problems. For one unit there was more or less no problem, but when I wanted to solder it all together in combination with the keyboard here, that keyboard has quite long wirings here in between, from the underside going to the oscillator unit here and the other oscillator unit, and because it's kind of haywiring, the circuit suffers at the moment of parasitic oscillations. You can, by the way, always expect parasitic oscillations both in amplifiers, homebrew amplifiers, pre-amplifiers, etc., has everything to do with the proper setup. So in many cases not a proper ground wiring, haywiring, or haywiring, etc. These are the frequencies that this circuit can make with these 5 different capacitors: 0.66 microfarad, 0.33 microfarad, 100 nanofarad, 50 nanofarad, and 10 nanofarad, and that gives a quite good frequency band. Anyway, I surely want to show the problems, because when you are an electronic hobbyist, this is a kind of common problem, and you can surely solve it, and I'm absolutely sure that I'm going to solve this problem of parasitic oscillations. So let's look at the scope. Parasitic oscillations often look like this kind of noise, complicated noise with all kinds of frequencies together, or with only one frequency together, only one frequency. That's also possible. So in general, this is the, say, scope view, and when you set the frequency knob here, you can study, and surely you can see here that there are many frequencies coming together, oscillating together, and when you listen to the loudspeaker that's connected to an amplifier, especially an audio amplifier or whatever amplifier, you can, for instance, hear this. So, kind of broadband noise, but the issue is that at the same time it could look that the circuit works well. I will demonstrate it now. So you hear at the background now an enormous noise. Could be that this noise is not audible. So your whole circuit seems to work properly, But at the same time there is parasitic oscillation, and when it is more or less sine wave types of oscillation, say above 30 kilohertz up to say approximately 100 kilohertz, it could be that you can even not hear it. The idea is that the circuit works properly, but more or less on the dark side of such a circuit there is oscillation. And when we are talking about power amplifiers, this is of course not a power amplifier, but when you have a power amplifier, especially audio chips, such an oscillation can damage your audio chip immediately. Say within 1 minute or so the chip is dead, burnt out, etc., etc. due to not proper ground wiring. So I have to study this again. Thanks for watching, by the way. I have to, in a certain way, find out where all the where this parasitic oscillation comes from. It's common. It's a standard problem, and especially when you make circuits with haywiring, like I have did now. The good thing is that when you have made such a circuit and you are able to repair that problem, that not the haywiring problem, but the parasitic oscillation problem, that's very good. You often can repair it. There are a few ideas to repair it. So I have to go to the schematic. First good idea is to decouple the power supply. So for instance here now I have made a decoupling unit. You can decouple it much better by using here a resistor, say 100 ohms or so. That means that frequencies that are generated inside such a circuit cannot travel over the power supply lead and give problems. Another good idea to damp parasitic oscillations is, of course, the standard capacitor here on the power lead and directly off the power pin of the unit to ground. So for instance here a 100 nanofarad capacitor directly connected to ground. So directly from the pin. So well, that's in this case this pin. Another